Alright, what's up guys? So this is going to be my first of many Path of Exile 2 build videos. This is my Spark, Stormweaver, Cast on Shock, Lightning Conduit build. And this build has done basically everything in the game. Max tier difficulty bosses, pinnacle bosses. We've done tier 16, all full juice maps, Reach, Delirium Expedition. Whatever you want, this build can do. So I thought I'd make a guide. If you're an experienced player or even a new player, I'll be going over everything you need to know. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll try my best to show you the build. Okay, so I'm going to show a Breach real quick. This isn't the best map for Breach, but it'll show you even in like bad layouts, it's still good. This is a great map for Spark, but like not for a Breach. Breaches are pretty easy. You do so much AoE damage, nothing's really an issue for you. You kind of like kill everything off screen too. The only thing that can stop us is what exactly happened there, which is freeze. And I don't know why they made it so that freeze is so hard to deal with in this game. The only way to stop it like reliably is with dream fragments, but that's super expensive right now. I don't want to invest that much money just to solve one issue. We can solve freeze on our charm if like you're fighting something with a lot of cold damage or freeze buildup. But right now we're using a stun charm because stun is also a very big issue for us because we have 1 HP, 1 energy shield, since our entire health pool is our mana. Okay, so that was a pretty bad breach, but you get the idea. The build can do everything without any issue really. So how does this build work? First of all, let's go over the gems. So our Spark has a tooltip of 28,000 damage right now. This isn't the highest damage because our Spark isn't actually what's doing the damage for us. It's our Cast on Shock Lightning Conduit, but this still does a good chunk of damage. Before I swapped over to this build, I was doing a pure Spark build and my Spark had about 150k, I think. So we swapped over, we took up most of the damage gems and like put in most of the utility. Also, our passive skill tree is mostly effectiveness, some arcane surge effect stuff, pen, and a lot of mana stuff. And we have like 8 jewel sockets. Jewels are really important for this build. It gives us a lot of free damage with like little to no effort. And this is my spirit gem. I'll go over all this stuff in a bit. Just going over my gear real quick. My wand isn't even that good, and I still get a lot of damage. So let's start with how the build functions. So whenever we use Spark, we have a lot of stuff that gives us a chance to shock. Whenever we shock, we cast Lightning Conduit. Lightning Conduit is really busted. Lightning Conduit does 100% more damage with hits per 5% shock effectiveness on an enemy. Now we stack shock effectiveness multiple ways, so we get more and more and more damage. Our cast on shock also is really important. The higher the level, the better. I don't think after level 19 you get much of a benefit anymore. So level 19 is fine. You don't have to spend the 4 divines for like a level 20 gem. All you need is quality. So before I get into the damage, the gem sockets, all that stuff, there is a very important thing you need to know. You need to be at 152% energy gain modifier. This causes our Spark to only need to shock 4 times for us to get a full proc of Lightning Conduit. And you might be thinking that'll take a while. On bosses, it takes less than a second. To get this, all you need is level 19, probably level even lower if you get some levels on it, but like level 19, 20 quality, impetus, and we have 3 jewels on our passive tree that total about 42%, I think, 43%. So 14 here, where is it? 14 here, 15 here, and another 14 here. So 14, 15, and another 14. Once you get these 3, that's all you really need to have it to get to the threshold that you need to be at. So we have our Spark, level 20. I've been using level 19 for most of the game, the end game at least. I swapped over to level 20 because I had some free currency lying around. I spent like 3 divines for this. In terms of order of quality, first of all, you want to do probably Cast on Shock, Archmage, and then your Spark. Sockets, you don't need a 6 link for this. Our Spark also does not need all this stuff. This is completely useless in terms of damage. I swapped this out for persistence when I'm doing boss fights, so I have more skill effect duration. But this just feels nice to do maps with. So you can just do Spark with 4 sockets. This also is necessary, so you can do Spark with 3. All you need are these 3. These 2 are more quality of life than anything else. Overcharge, Conduction, and Coursing Current. Overcharge makes it so that we get 75% increased magnitude of shocks with our supporting skills, which gives us much more damage on our Lightning Conduit. So this is free damage, like a lot. This makes it so that we have more chance to shock, and shock is basically all our damage because we need to shock to proc cast on shock. Coursing Current makes it so that whenever we shock an enemy, there is a 25-50% chance actually for enemies in a 2.5 meter radius to also get shocked. So that just gives us a ridiculous amount of like ad clear and makes our maps feel so nice. Then these 2, acceleration for more prod speed, and this so we run faster. You can also just tap fire your Spark instead of like holding down and running, and you go much faster than you normally would. Orb of Storms isn't necessary, but it's just free damage as well, so I like having it. I have Font of Mana, Over Abundance, and Unleash. Well, yeah, this gives me 2, and this allows me to cast 2, and this just gives me free mana. Archmage is busted. This is like all our added damage comes from this. This is what basically everyone's using on Stormweaver. So yeah, you probably already know all about this. But we have Lightning Mastery and Clarity. You don't need the Clarity. It's if you don't have the 10 Spirit, just take this out. We get some mana regen, which is nice, but it's not necessary. We have our Lightning Conduit. I have a level 21, so I get more damage. You don't need this. The 20% quality. Every now and again, I actually see this proc, and we basically do double damage because of how the interaction works. So we basically apply a shock, then we have a 20% chance to add another shock after we consume the first one. So we basically just do like a quick 2 million damage, maybe even more sometimes, and it's really nice. Impetus is basically mandatory for every cast on build because you get so much energy. Control Destruction. This is nice if you're doing a non-crit version. I actually used to use Considered Casting, but the last set of patch notes said that they took it out. Well, they removed it for non-self cast, and I don't think this would count. This is a trigger, so logically speaking, it wouldn't make sense for this to work. And I can't actually see, like when you put stuff in, it doesn't show you the DPS. So maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't think it does. If it does, that's 10% more damage. But, you know, I'm just going to go the safe route and use this. LE Focus, we're not applying ailments with this. We're applying ailments with this. And then this consumes the elements anyways. So this is just free damage. And Inspiration because, you know, less cost. With my current setup, I have 230 Spirit, and I'm using 60 of that to use Blink. Blink is such a nice quality of life. It's ridiculous. It helps bosses to be easier. It helps your map movement. It helps you survive. Like, it's just really nice. You can get over obstacles in trials. It's quality of life. I highly recommend using this. If you can't afford all this Spirit, which I'm going to go over in a bit, you can technically take off your cast on shock for normal movement, and you can do some gem swaps and just use cast on shock when you get to a boss. So our gear. Now this seems expensive. It's not. It is expensive, kinda, but you don't need most of these things to make the build function. Our wand isn't that expensive. You can focus mostly on the +4 level of all lightning spell skills. Cast speed is nice, not necessary with this setup. Int is nice. Mana is really good because that's our HP pool, and we do more damage with Archmage. Spell damage, flat lightning damage, like any of that stuff will be really good. Or boots, really simple. Mana, rarity, res, int, movement speed. You don't need the rarity. I like it because I do maps a lot, so that's why I got that. Or gloves, same thing. Mana, rarity, res, ES. You want ES bases for this stuff? I switched to this chest piece, which I'm going to go over in a second. So I need to have 51 strength, dex, and int anyways. I could do a hybrid pair boots, but ES provides so much benefit to us that it's worth it just to go ES bases anyways. Or helmet, once again, ES, int, res, mana. That's all we really care about. Now, Everything else is where you can get a bit, you know, confused. Ingenuity, you don't need this. The price is dropping, so if you can afford it, I'd recommend it. It's really good. You get so much benefit from it, but you don't need it. These aren't even the best rings. I'm using these because they solve my res, and I don't really want to go buy more gear. That's like the bane of my existence. So I'm just using these rings. These give me a ton of mana, some res, and mana regen. What you're mostly looking for is the mana and the mana regen. If you can somehow solve your res on your other pieces of gear, that would give you more flexibility on your rings, so you could like spend a little less money. This one is good as well. This gives me cast speed, and cast speed is nice, so I can cast more sparks. Now, these three pieces are where the build gets even more complex. So I'm stacking a lot of mana like everywhere. All my runes have a 2% increased maximum mana. The only one that doesn't is this, because this gives me more ES. I could swap this out. I don't really want to. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10, 2% mana. That's like 20% mana overall. You can not use this chest piece and instead use a rare with and some ES, and that will solve your problems. This gives me a lot of mana, so I use it. I get a lot of spirit, so I don't have to like worry about any of that stuff. So this is nice. This is also really, well, it's cheap for a 4 socket. 4 sockets are like 2 div. This was like 8 for like all 5. You don't need 5. If you have the money, sure. If you don't, then you don't need it. Right here, this is really good as well. This amulet gives me 50 spirit as well, plus 2 level of spell skills, some res, and some mana, and some rarity. The Anoint Mental Toughness is really good. You don't have to get it once again, but it's really nice. Where is it? It's somewhere down here. It's like right here. I could just spend like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points and get it, but I don't want to spend those points. I'm kind of like starved right now for points, so I just got this. All in all, if you're not using Blink, you don't need these 2 pieces. All you need is 60 spirit for like combined here. You can get like 30, well, you can do 40 here. If you get the chest piece, you can get like a 40 spirit chest piece and then like 20 on your amulet. Or you can use this, you can use a jewel, then you can use another amulet like Everlasting Gaze if you want some ES. There's a bunch of stuff you can do, but this is what I'm doing. What I recommend if you're like on a smaller budget, once again, get a 30 spirit chest piece and a 30 spirit amulet. Just make sure combined these are 60 spirit. 70 if you want to use clarity. This shield is also not necessary. You can actually use a focus here and get more damage, but this is what I wanted to use, and I like the effects. This gives me a bunch of effect of my Socketed Soul Core, so I get a lot more mana, which, you know, is my health. So I really like this, and my damage. So, and I get some block, which is nice. Charm, stun charm, because stun is the bane of our existence. Stun and freeze are really annoying, but you have to pick one, and I chose stun. In our weapon swap, we have a level 18 Sigil of Power with 4 levels and some cast speed, which we only use on bosses. Okay, so let's go over the passive tree. This is very basic passive tree. I got a lot of gem sockets or jewel sockets, and we kind of just like rushed mana, effectiveness of like shock, and some damage somewhere. So over here we got some like damage and resistance, shock magnitude, arcane surge stuff. This is all just like lightning stuff, like damage, pen. We get a lot of pen. Like I think I have around, let me check. I have 76 pen right now with my jewels and my passive tree. Some more magnitude. I need to get this point for more mana recovery rate, more magnitude, and we have the Sinister 3, Eldritch Battery, Chaos Inoculation, and Mind Over Matter. These 3 combined are what's doing most of the mechanics of this build, so make sure to get those. We also pass down here. We get some more shock stuff, more shock stuff, cast speed as well. These are really nice. Some pen. I'm only getting this because I need one more notable. This jewel isn't too expensive depending on your budget, but this is what allows me to get 50 spirit on my chest, 50 spirit on my amulet, then I get 30 spirit from this, and I can use blink. So if you're gonna go the triple route, then yeah, you need to get a jewel with at least plus 10 spirit and everything else. My jewels are pretty simple. Some of these are for res, but what you really need is you want at least one recover mana on kill jewel. I have it somewhere. This is life on kill, which is completely useless for me, but it's somewhere here. My jewels are also kind of mid right now. I could get much better ones. I'm just lazy to go trade. You want mana regen, spell damage, elemental damage. Magnitude of ailments is the most important one, I think. You can get magnitude of ailments on a sapphire, or you can get magnitude of shock on a emerald jewel. You also maybe want some pens. You can get at least the plus 70. Make sure to get your 43% energy increase somewhere on 3 jewels combined, and you'll be good. But yeah, that's all. You know, some mana regen stuff. The more mana regen you have, the better the build feels. So yeah, try to invest in that a bit. Or Ascendancy is kind of questionable. These two are mandatory, of course, but this one, I've seen this proc before, I think. So I got this. But for the fourth one, there's nothing we really need. This does nothing. I don't really want these. We're not going crit. If you're going crit, you could get this, which would be really nice, but I'm not going crit. So yeah, we're not applying exposure because we have so much pen. So this is also useless. So I just got, you know, some resistances and some elemental damage. All in all, the build feels great. You'd think we'd be a bit squishy with only mana as our defense, but we're actually pretty tanky. We can get much more tanky if we get the unique flask that drops from Delirium, I think. That basically instantly refills our mana if we use it. That flask is crazy. We basically get like 10 times our HP because we can just use the flask and just like keep regenerating full. The only logical way we die is if we get one shot, but I very rarely get one shot. The only thing that would probably one shot me are boss mechanics like Arbiter, but other than that, I'm fine. So that flask is probably going to be my next upgrade. I have everything else I want. I can do some more stuff, but for right now, like on my jewel, I can get a 1% max mana for my small passives, and that would be really nice. I get like 1, 2, 3, and maybe I get like some more here just for more mana. That'd be really nice. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys need help with the build, if you want to know anything, if you need my input on something, you can PM me in game. I'm usually just like AFK or something. Sosuke, like Aizen Sosuke. You know, peak. You can also comment. I'll be trying my best to read the comments and answer any questions. If you want like a leveling guide for this build, like how you go through the acts, the campaign, what to do, all of that stuff, I can make a guide on that. I can also like put some stuff for alternatives. I talked about it, but I can give you some like searches if you really want and help you out. So just let me know. I'll try to like post a video if I make any more upgrades and let you guys know why I made them, like if there's any cheap alternatives, and that's it. So I'll leave you with some boss kills. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. I'll be making a lot more videos, so stay tuned.